Welcome back to our channel, Hume's Little Homestead. I'm Katie, my husband is Ryan, and we are growing our family and building our homestead. Today I was separating plants. I've been going through, checking which plants are ready to get hardened off, ready to go into the garden. And I also bought more seeds to plant. A lot of them are flowers and herbs. I believe I shared with you all on a separate video what I ordered. And I actually bought this pack recently, so I didn't show these. I got foxgloves to try. They look really pretty, and I really wanted more flowers around my garden this year because last year I had so many hummingbirds, so many bees, so many butterflies, and we had tarantula hawks, and we just had some really cool insects visiting our garden, ladybugs and praying mantis. And I would like that to happen again. So I am going to be planting the mammoth sunflowers again, and I'm also going to be planting the, I believe they're, evening sun. Evening sun sunflowers are my favorite because they have these really pretty purple and yellow blossoms. And so that is what I am doing today. And I'll show you the plants really fast. It's a little disorderly, but it makes sense in my head. So yeah. Are tomatoes waiting to go to new homes. More tomatoes. And again, these are tomatoes that just need to get bigger before I sell them. And yeah, so these are all for sale. These are my own. I decided to make this table for my own. It's kind of messy. I've had plants on it all year. You've seen it. And so I'm not going to clean the dirt off because I'm just planting more today. My peppercini plant, however you want to say that, is growing so good, but I'm not putting it outside yet. I have two growing. One is really big and one is medium sized. They were planted at the same time, but this one just took off and it's amazing. So I gave this one a chair to sit on because I need it off this table. These are all pepper plants. I planted a ton of varieties of peppers this year, and these are all going in my own garden. I have a pepper bed waiting for peppers. I haven't prepared it yet, and then here's some more really tiny herbs that just haven't taken off. Some aren't doing that great. This is my lemon balm. I kind of killed it, but I don't know. We'll see if it'll come back. And then Haley planted me a marigold seed, and it still hasn't sprouted, so I just keep watering it. I hope that it sprouts because she asks every day, is your Mother's Day flower growing? I actually added some more seeds in there because I was feeling too bad for her that it didn't sprout from the school, so I added some more marigold seeds in, so yeah, when that sprouts. Thyme, rosemary, sweet marjoram. This sweet marjoram is looking really sad, so I'm glad I have a backup. Chamomile, Greek oregano, it's only one in there. Some more lemon balm. This is the only flower of columbine that grew. I think my seeds were bad because look how tiny that plant is. I don't know. I keep watering it and hopefully it'll grow. Lemon balm. Peppermint. I had spearmint. I hope it didn't die. Oh, there it is. Spearmint, rosemary, and I did separate my habanero plant from that flower. Here's where it is, all over the place here. I'm going to move it to this table too. So these two were growing together because this habanero did not sprout forever. So I went ahead and put this flower into this just to reuse the dirt, and then the habanero ended up sprouting. So yeah, so this is gonna go over here. I use a spoon Has a shovel sometimes. And then over here I have some more random tomato plants. I need to move these. More Mother's Day gifts from my kids that are waiting to sprout. Here's Levi's science project. It's 2 orange trees. He sprouted clementine orange seeds from the store, the cuties. And then more of my peppers, and here's some of my lemon balm that's actually doing okay. I put it under the grow light to see if it'll do better. And then look at this pepper. It's so funny. I'm going to take it out of the grow light so you have better lighting. So I trimmed it here, and look, it grew this really long stem right there. So I don't know if I'm going to trim that again because I want it to be more bushy. I might trim that again because I don't really want that long stem. But I'm also kind of curious to see what it does on its own and just leave it. It grew all the way up to the grow light. It's touching it. And then more peppers down here on my dahlias that I did not store properly, and we're going to see if they sprout. I have no idea if they're going to sprout. And then this was a branch that broke off of my raspberry bush. I just put it in some dirt, and I'm watering it to see if it'll get roots. And these are all bare root strawberries that I got from the store, and none of them have made their appearance yet. So we'll see what happens with those. I'm watering them, watching them. Nothing has been happening. Waiting for sprouts. Oh, and then the last thing I'll show you is the asparagus that I planted from seed. It was growing. I planted it in little cups, and it was growing really good. So I transplanted it to these leftover pots that I had from previous plants. I just keep these pots because they work good for any kind of plant you want to plant. And today I up-potted it again. So this was 3. I had 3 bunches. And so this has been fun to see the asparagus grow from seed. The asparagus I have planted out. Let me tell you my asparagus saga. I have 3 different asparagus growing. The first one is the random wild asparagus that we found on our property a couple of years ago. I was super excited because I was trying to grow asparagus from seed for the very first time. This was when I bought the seeds from the seed guy, which I think it was 5 years ago. And we found random asparagus patches growing on our property, and we have like 6 to 10 of these patches, and we find them every year, and every year it seems like it's multiplying because we find more and more every year, and I'm like, oh, that's so cool, there's more, or there's another patch we didn't know about last year. And so we have that asparagus, and so I took pictures of those early spring is when those really popped up. And the second asparagus I have is the asparagus I bought bare root plants from Tractor Supply this year. I've done it in the past, but just had 0 success with my asparagus growing. And I think it was just because I didn't water it good enough, I didn't mark it good enough. Anyway, so this year I have 3 different varieties there. I have purple asparagus, I think it was purple passion asparagus, Jersey night asparagus, and Mary Washington asparagus, which in this pot, this is Mary Washington asparagus as well from the seed. And so that in my garden asparagus is just from Tractor Supply, bare root, trying to grow it, see if it'll work. This is seed. So the first year I tried planting asparagus from seed, I never knew what asparagus looked like while it was growing. And it sprouted up, and I had it in these I had chopped water bottles in half and used those as cups and used those as pots. And so I chopped these water bottles in half, used them. It was doing great. Then I started hardening them off outside, and this giant windstorm came and just destroyed them all, and it was really sad. And before that, I had them inside, and our cat ate all the tops off of them, so totally killed them. And then they started coming back, and then I was like, oh cool, they're gonna live, some of them. And then the windstorm took them out, and then I don't really remember why they died, but they just died. And so this is my first year getting it to a pot this big, and I don't know why I felt like planting those seeds. I just had them. I knew they were getting older. I wanted to see if they would grow. They germinated, growing, and now I've up-potted them, and I feel like I'm doing better than 5 years ago with my gardening stuff. And I forgot, down here I have more plants that are going outside. These ones were outside in the morning for 1 hour. There are more tomatoes that I need to start hardening off, so they were only outside for 1 hour this morning because I don't want them getting sun scald. It's a very sunny day. And then these will start hardening off tomorrow. It's a bunch of different little herbs. They're kind of small, but I'm just ready to free up some of the space and see if they'll do better outside anyway. I have some dill, some parsley, cilantro, zinnia, spicy saber basil, so I think that's holy basil, thyme, cinnamon basil, and alyssum. And then over here, more tomatoes and more herbs. And these will start hardening off tomorrow as well. And there's chamomile in there. I think chamomile is one of my favorite herbs now. It looks so pretty growing. I can't wait to see how the flowers look. Oh, and there's some sage. So this is what's going on. That's just a chicken light. It's not plugged in. The chicks should be hatching on Sunday. So 4 more days. Pretty exciting. These will be the first plants that go out in the garden. Here's the flowers. I have some strawberries, tomatoes, tomatillos, I think that's a zinnia, eggplant, nasturtium. Look at this nasturtium. I'm so happy with it. Look how big it is. That is the biggest nasturtium I've ever grown, ever. And it's still in its little pot. Onions, tomatoes, and some brassicas. I think it's pak choy, and I might have some cauliflower. I can't exactly remember what I planted. And herbs. And these are needing a drink. They're looking thirsty. But they can stay outside all day because they stayed outside all day yesterday and they survived and actually thrived. And so I'm going to get them a little water and they'll be just fine. Okay, I'm going to go over the plants, the seeds I'm starting today. Foxglove, lavender, zinnia, feverfew. Zinnia you can plant directly in the garden, but I just want to have them planted before I have them in the garden so I can see where they're growing. Echinacea, St. John's wort, marshmallow, snapdragon. I'm so excited for snapdragon. Yarrow, calendula. I am using these cups again. My plants in these cups seem to do better than the actual plants in the pots that I bought, the cute pots. So I think it's because they are long and the roots have a long way they can go down. Using a Sharpie to label each cup. I'm using seed starting mix Miracle-Gro, and then when that runs out, I will be using this potting mix Miracle-Gro. I will also cover the plants with plastic wrap. I'm just going to recycle what I had from previous plantings, and I will mist them with, I have to fill this, but I'll mist them with a mister when I plant them. New plant. I actually forgot that I had this flat for starting seeds. So it's just a flat, it's like a, I don't know, the brand is Jiffy. I saved it. I had this catching water when I was watering all my tomato plants. The tiny herbs that I'm starting today, I was reading some of the backs of the packages, and it says that if you bottom water, that they'll do better. So I'm going to plant them in this flat with the seed starting mix. It's really, really light and fluffy. I'm going to do a few in the cups, and we'll do an experiment. But most of them I'm going to put in these flats, and I'll be able to bottom water them. And I won't put them on this table. I'm going to put them over here out of direct sunlight, but they're still getting a lot of light. Sorry, had the camera down there. Anyway, they're still getting light, enough light that they should germinate. So I think this is going to work better, and I'm really excited about it. Here we go. I just finished up all of my planting for today. I did English lavender, foxglove, feverfew, white stars, St. John's wort, snapdragon, tequila sunrise, yarrow, Colorado mix. I did zinnias, calendula, echinacea, and marshmallow. The marshmallow needs to be cold stratified, and I read that after I had already put it in some dirt, so I'm just going to put these cups of dirt in the fridge without watering them and keep them in there for 4 to 6 weeks, and then I'll plant them. Which brings me to my next point. Am I too late? Am I too late to start seeds? When you walk into like Walmart or Tractor Supply, there's still seeds you can buy, and there is a little, like, the seed packets have planting instructions on the back, and a lot of times they say 8 to 12 weeks before the last spring frost, or they say 8 to 10 weeks before last frost. And I'm obviously, my last frost should be coming up. If it hasn't already passed, it's within this week or next week. So technically I should have started these plants 10 weeks ago. So yeah, I'm a little late on getting these particular seeds in, but I want my message to be that it's okay if you want to try and plant a seed, go ahead. It's probably going to grow. The worst that could happen if you plant your seed now, if it's a tomato seed, let's take a tomato seed, because all of my tomatoes that I have started, or pepper, all of my tomatoes and peppers are much bigger and getting ready to go out in the garden. If I hadn't started them and I bought the seeds right now, I'd be a little late, yes. But the worst that could happen, here's the worst that could happen. You start your seed now and you get a late frost. Or the worst that could happen is you plant your seed and it doesn't grow. That's the very worst thing that could happen. You plant your seed and it doesn't grow at all. The second worst thing that could happen is you plant your seed, you get a plant, you put it outside, and then if you get your last frost before you get fruit off of that plant. If it's a flower, before it sets flowers, before it sets fruit. That's the second worst thing that could happen. But if you're just starting out and you're experimenting with gardening, go ahead. I say plant seeds whenever. That's what I say. But if you really want a tomato or something for sure, and you haven't started your seeds, it's probably a good idea to buy a plant right now. And then you have to look at the last frost date in your area and the first frost date in your area to really calculate when you should be planting things. So all of these herbs that I just started today, I'm a little late, but I'm not that late that I might not get some harvest off of it. And I'm just going to go ahead, because what if we get a late frost and I get a totally full harvest from what I'm planting? You see what I mean? You're never too late to start gardening. So that's what I want to say today. Tonight, I'm not going to film, but we are having chicken and dumplings. I'll probably take a picture to share with Facebook and Instagram. But we're finally making the chicken and dumplings that we were scheduled to eat on Monday. But I put it off and had the carrot rice bake on Monday. And then on Tuesday, we had another crazy busy day. So I had the chicken noodle soup, which was so much faster to make because the egg noodles only take 8 minutes to cook. So tonight is chicken and dumplings, and I think it's going to take a little longer because you form the dumplings and put them in. So I think it's going to take, 45 minutes to an hour to finish this up because I have the stewed chicken all ready to go. So yeah, from yesterday. But I just wanted to say that's what we're eating. We're sticking to it. We haven't gone out to eat. Caden went out to eat with some buddies at lunchtime since it's the end of the school year, and I'm sure he had a blast. And like I said, Ryan on his work trip, it was like a 3-day work trip. He had to eat out. We obviously couldn't. We could have packed lunches or something for all those days, but when you're in a hotel room, you just got to do what you got to do, right? So that's what he did on his work trip. But yeah. And I mixed up a gallon of powdered milk to use for our cooking and stuff, and I think it'll be just fine to drink it as well. So I still have 1 gallon of frozen milk. I just wanted to see if I had enough powdered milk because it called for 5.5 cups of the powder to go into the gallon. So yeah, And so I'm almost out of powdered milk. So we're going to see if we're going to make it the whole month. And if I make it to May 29th, I'm going to count that as a whole month without grocery shopping, because May 29th is when I'm scheduling my grocery shopping trip. And I'm going to do this for June again, so I'll have another menu planning, and I'm going to ask the kids. We'll have a fun video about what did the kids like, what they didn't like, and that'll be fun. So that'll be coming up in the next week or so for menu planning for June and budgeting, continuing on this journey. I feel like I saved us so much money this month, and I'm super excited because we were able to buy some really big purchases without dipping into our savings, like the kayak and the Nintendo Switch. Those are two really big purchases. We don't normally get those types of things, but it was a promise to our kids if they got straight A's that they could get a Nintendo Switch, and they totally did it. So super proud of them. Well, Haley did it on this last quarter. She hasn't had, well, it was all S's, satisfactory, or, the highest mark you can get for kindergarten. But Caden and Levi get letter grades, so we'll see what they did. But at quarter 3, they had still had straight A's, so I think that they did it. So we'll see. All right, thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I'll talk to you later. Bye.